Welcome to Review with a Brew. Now, I seem to have misplaced my cup somewhere in the garden. But anyway, that doesn't detract from the FK8. Now, this is Sportline. If you watch the channel regularly, you will have seen that we had an FK8 GT. Yeah, people say it's a bit over radical and yeah, it's not their cup of tea. Well, it is mine. To put it bluntly, you can get 3 Type Rs. You can get Type R, you can get GT, and you can get Sportline. Now, by the time you watch this, this car could have, well, gone off sale, to be honest. You can even get a carbon fibre pack and an illumination pack. Now, that's news to me. Anyway, the FK8 has been going for, I think it's about 4 years. As we know, the Type R has been around, and it's been one of those cars that has just made Honda stand out. It really has. Now, the other thing about this car going off production is the fact that the UK Honda manufacturing plant, Swindon, is closing too. Because this is a review with a brew, we're only going to really concentrate on the big things. For example, race. First things first, let's turn her off. I don't know why I'm calling her her, considering our Civic's a boy and called Valek. Start stop, very handy for London and the likes, especially with bigger ULEZ zones. Nice tight gearbox as well, 6-speed, not the biggest infotainment screen, but that doesn't matter. Rotary dials, even a volume for the stereo as well, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that kind of thing. Race mode, sport mode, and every time you start the car it's in sport, I like that. And comfort mode, and comfort does feel relatively comfortable. Yes, it's not X5 SUV, but you wouldn't expect it to be. This is a hot hatch. You know, it's got really tightened suspension, and it's adaptive as well, meaning, oof, this thing can corner, it really can. The seats are comfortable, yeah, they're fully manual, but you expect that. And the biggest change on the Sportline is the fact there's no red in the interior. You've still got red seat belts, but this bit used to have a red stripe. Not anymore. A little more subtle. The finish of the car is just great. And it's one of those cars that I just relate to. You know, things like the red accents here, this carbon fibre style trim. It just looks good. No black roof. It might not be the best for filming, but it does give a car of this type that little bit extra. It's like the Golf GTI 16 valve we on. Black roof. It's something you've had in hot hatches for many years. This actually floats. And under here you've got an area as well, which means you've got some storage points. There's also USB and 12 volt. Door pocket, yeah, it's not the biggest in the world. And you've got a nice padded armrest. And let's climb in the back. Nice comfortable armrest and lots of room as well. And as I said, because I drive so connected to the car, I have masses of legroom and footroom too. Comfortable, and yeah, on a long journey, perfectly fine. Decent sound system too. No pull down armrest, but you wouldn't really expect it. The boot. I think it might be fractionally lighter with this boot spoiler, but that makes sense because that other one's like a massive picnic bench. It does look the part. Decent boot, nice pulley out thing here, and 60/40 folding seats. Yeah, you've got a boot lip, but that's the thing. I look at the Practicality and think, do I care? No, not really, because the only reason I buy this car is because of how good it is on the track or on the road if you're willing to push it. And that's what it is for Type Rs for me. Well, pretty much most JDM stuff that's quick. I love it. There you have it. I'm never going to hate on this car. So many people do with that. Oh yeah, okay, VTEC. Yeah, bottom line is it's extremely reliable. It's rapid, yes, it's not as quick as say a Golf R, but that's all-wheel drive. It's got launch control and all types of things. This is a front-wheel drive car. Reminds you of older hot hatches. It's stiff, and I mean stiff. It will corner like it's on rails, and it'll put a big grin on your face, and you can see things like G's. What more is there to want? And it cost about 34 grand. Ooh, found 20 pence. forget the bonnet vent. Come on, there we go. That is a light bonnet, like silly light. But there is no struts, that would have just made it a little bit better. Nope, that's a pipe. It's a Honda, of course it's here. Good job I didn't pull that off. Eek. 320 brake horsepower. It's not the biggest engine in the world, but as we know, the Earthstream's technology and Honda and all this gubbins of VTEC and turbochargers and injection and whatever just makes it go really well. It's very reliable, you get a 5-year warranty. I just love it. I'm not biased in any particular way for any particular reason. I think it's a damn good car. I always have. I've always liked things like the EK9. I wasn't that keen on the EP3 until I drove it. I always thought it looked a bit cheese wedgy. But after driving it, oh my word. I want one of those, I want an EK9. FN2 we don't know yet. Also, we've got Honda CR-V coming. However, if you want to see something more racy, then later in the year we're going to have a Mugen edition car. All that remains is to drive it. Now it is like turning an oil tanker, and the other thing is, because it's so stiff, when you reverse it on an angle like I'm about to, you will feel it pivot on 3 wheels. Might be a bit daunting, but my word, it shows you what this car can do. It's so well set up. No parking sensors, but you do have a reversing camera. Okay, we just scraped on the floor then. It's not the lowest car, but the other end of the scale, it's not the highest car either. As soon as you start the engine, you know you've got something special under your foot. You can feel the power. It's just... it's one of those cars that can just... it's got so much under its belt, it really has. My mind goes to mush when I get in one of these. I'm just instantly connected to it, so that's my primary goal. Enjoy myself and have an experience that is just, oh, it's out of this world. I really enjoy this car. It's like that car then. It saw the Type R and decided it was going to do 3 foot of hedge so we could have a proper look at it and allow me to get through a gap. The other thing about this car is it seems to attract bikers as well. A lot of motorbikers will nod and wave and all types of things. Another response is children on the side of the road shouting, Type R! Which, yeah, it's a bit like me back in the days. When I was at school, if I saw something like this, I'd chase after it and pray that the driver was going to go and floor it off from the lights. Mind you, we're looking at things like Capris and Mantas and all types of things. So for me to be able to offer that, I like that. So as I mentioned before, we start in sport mode. 0 to 60 in 5.8, and it is responsive. You do have to wait a fraction of a second or so until the turbo decides. Obviously dependent on gear as well. It's got rev matching that you heard then. Speaking of the gearbox, ooh, it's solid. It's a nice short shift and it feels very strong. It's very responsive. The steering weightens up very nicely. You put it in race and it just gets, oh, it's unbelievable. Most of your driving you can do in sport though. If you are fancying a little more of a comfortable ride, then you can set comfort mode. But that's more for Annabelle. No word of a lie, I tend to drive it in race most of the time. It just tightens everything up a bit. If you want to see a full driving section, check out the full review. Pulling out of junctions is not a problem. It's Now if you look at the cluster, that was actually only 2 lights, so it meant that I could rev out for a lot longer. Eek! Fire engine. They're the ones that helped Annabelle when she stacked Zara Picasso. Oh, road ahead closed. That could be quite beneficial if you can give it a bit of a boot. We will only go up to national speed limit. That was actually national speed limit. The sound of it. Yeah, if you want to find out more, watch the full review. But there's a taster. Nice solid box, nice acceleration. MPG, yeah, it's not its strongest point. It claims up to about 35, but I think 27 on a good day for me, but more closer to say low 20s. But I do drive it hard, and very hard, and it takes everything you throw at it as well. It may sound loud at revs. If you hold it down, it's quite a pleasurable experience. I suppose it's like buying, say, something like a Magnex for the Golf. You can go out and buy a Pico Big Bore and it'll be loud and raucous all the time, or you can do something like this, whereas it's loud when it needs to be, but when you're cruising, it's just nice.